What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Happy Friday. Got a lot of 5 stars to talk about. 5 stars potentially on commit watch somewhere, 5 stars on campus, and then 5 stars performing in the spring game tomorrow. A lot to get into. First, talk about some 5-star attorneys. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here. Look at that.
We're here.
Yeah, so a lot of things going on today. Pete happened to be in my neighborhood, so I said, just roll through the house. Forget the studio, man. We'll might as well get this thing off and running.
Beach studios are back, man.
Miami Beach Studios, right? This is the old school way we used to do it. This is how we did it back in 2017 before the Notre Dame game, right there in that room over there.
Yep.
So a little more hi-fi now.
It wasn't live.
It was not live, thankfully. I was drinking at that time, so it's a lot easier to be live when you don't drink anymore. But anyways, it's a lot going on. Pete got the spring game, which would ordinarily be the biggest story. Got a huge visit list, which was also ordinarily would be a very big story. Most people, I think, want to talk about Jackson Cantwell, number 1 overall prospect in the country, who has basically put out that his timeline is being accelerated. He's not going to take his OVs before he commits, probably commit whenever the moment compels him here coming up. And I know folks want to hear the latest on that. So here's what I'll say. We've been talking about Jackson Cantwell on this show for a long, long time. We've probably done 4 shows on Jackson Cantwell with his face in the thumbnail, this being, I guess, the 5th one. That's for a reason. Miami is firmly in the mix here. I believe, 3 weeks ago, we said, hey, Miami is surging in this recruitment. And then 247 went and made that story from Steve Wolfond that was taking place. So, look, we'll see how this thing ends up. I think Miami has a very, very, very good chance. You got Georgia in the mix. You got Oregon in the mix. But for the same reasons we said 3 weeks ago that Miami was surging, Miami is still surging. But number 1 player in the country, man. You got to see how it plays out. Last time we were one of these was Jeremiah Smith. So, we'll see how this one plays out. But I think Miami has a tremendous shot and has done as good as you can do during the recruiting process here. Appreciate you, Hassan. Yeah, like that and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody joining us here on the Friday. But really, that's the Jackson Cantwell update. I think it's going to come down to 3 teams. I think Miami has a tremendous shot to get this done because of the relationship between Cristobal and Mirabal, because of Miami's history of offensive line development. They visited multiple times, both him and his family. They like the area. Drew Rosenhaus, who's local, is his agent. A lot of things in Miami's favor, other things in the favor of other schools, track program, etc. But I think Miami has a terrific shot, and we're just going to see what happens, man. This is high-stakes recruiting, number 1 player in the country. So, we'll see how it comes out.
Yeah, those sort of battles are never smooth sailing at the end of the process, I would say. So fingers crossed, right? But like you said, they've done everything they can up to this point to put themselves in position to land him. I think the other part of the big update that we have today was more intriguing to me, with the other prospect that we have here in the title, and that's Tristan Keys. Obviously committed to LSU pretty recently after he had visited Miami. We did a sit-down interview with him, came away very impressed with him. Football player, obviously a stud, but just his mindset and mentality and work ethic I've heard great things about. But we said then, look, we're not saying Miami's the favorite necessarily, but this kid has legitimate interest in the Canes. Commits to LSU pretty shortly thereafter, so people were kind of clowning us on that. But another trip here, I think, to me, shows that there is definitely some interest. Now, he's committed to LSU, and that's a tough school if you're a wide receiver to kind of get someone to flip from. But that's an interesting one, I would say.
Yeah, and LSU, maybe a volatile situation. A lot of expectations to win and go to the playoffs, and they spent a lot of money in the transfer portal. So there are expectations with that program. Brian Kelly is not the most popular guy in the world when he's not winning. So we'll see how that situation develops. I
feel like we said this about the DJ Pickett thing last year too.
We did. Look, and it went against us. He's playing great for them. But that's recruiting, man. You miss all the shots you don't take, and if you're not in the game, you got no shot. So Miami is in the game with Tristan Keys. Multiple unofficial visits from a kid from Mississippi I think that's something to keep an eye on. Look, people thought we weren't in it for Jackson Cantwell. Then he makes multiple unofficial visits, and now, heading down to the finish line, Miami is firmly in the mix there. So we'll see, but I think it's telling that he is visiting for this weekend. Some other visitors here. Let me pull up.
And as you pull that up, and there's questions about a timetable for Jackson Cantwell, and everyone's seen, everyone's had those same sort of questions, but everyone saw his tweet that he was getting closer to a decision. So I don't think anyone knows for sure when it could happen, but obviously he's very close.
So just some names visiting, and this is the full visit list I'm looking at, but let me just get some highlights here. Joel Irvin, offensive lineman from Fort Myers, commit, top of the board type player. Cannon Pickett, family ties there, obviously. Oh, I gotta go. Finish it.
All right, so let me take over here. Actually, you know what? Since I'll let him talk about the recruiting stuff, since he has it in more detail. But while we wait for D to pop back on, I just wanted to say shout out to Coach Andrew Moran, officially announced today as an assistant coach and director of player development at Miami under Jay Lucas. Obviously, this has been a very highly rumored move in terms of him joining the staff. Just won the national championship with Columbus, 4 straight state titles, has coached not only this run that he's been on here, but has coached on the AAU level, has been around a lot of high-level players in terms of high school level, college level, getting ready for the pros and with, pre-draft development stuff. And then once guys are in the NBA, he works with them in the offseason to tighten stuff up. So D is ready to pop back in here. And I appreciate Javi calling me Pete Louis Skelly, except Arsenal scum.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith's transferring to Miami. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
but yeah. So, anyways, so going over the visit list here. So let's just go over this visit list while we are. And that was a Canes Insight related call, so I wasn't just calling to get my my weekend in order. So Joel Irvin, offensive lineman from Fort Myers, tackle. Cannon Pickett, big offensive lineman, family ties from Tampa, the interior lineman. Javion Mallory, running back from West Boca, committed to the Canes, 4-star player there. Henry Olinger, we've talked about a bunch, running back out of Ohio, Grandview High School. This is somebody who could play linebacker as well. Just a physical, good football player, not like a Derek Cooper replacement or like either or kind of guy. Derek Cooper's not, they have nothing to do with each other. I know we get that question a lot. Derek Cooper +1 no matter what. This is a good football player they like. Tristan Keys, of course, from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. If you want to see more about him, check that interview we did with him on Canes Insight. Reminds us all of Anthony Edwards quite a bit. Just a great personality. You get star potential with him, and the player's outstanding, 5 stars. Jace Matthews, also from Mississippi, another wide receiver in the mix. Nick Lanier, for talking about 2027, major target from Miami Northwestern. He's someone who's just been one of these like local legend kind of guys. Kendall Gorvel, for the defensive lineman from Fort Myers, teammate of Joel Irvin, 4-star player. He's also on the list. Jordan Campbell, linebacker from Carroll City, just recently transferred to Miami Northwestern, 4-star commit to the Canes. Karen Maycock, linebacker from Miami Central, FSU commit. He's visited quite a bit. Justin Edwards, a recent offer from Orlando Edgewater, who tested out of this world, 4.58, I want to say, at the Under Armour camp. Miami really likes him as a linebacker, great traits. Malik Morris, linebacker from Lakeland, somebody Miami likes a lot. He will be on campus. Jalen Waters, commit from Armwood in Tampa area. We know him, seatbelt, stud, 4-star. Jontavius Wyman, who just committed out of Jonesboro High School in Atlanta. Another 4-star stud, flip from Georgia. Chauncey Kennan, Sam Shields' nephew, I believe, from the same high school, Sarasota Booker, one of the top corners in the country. He'll be here. Brody Jennings, cornerback from Tampa Mandarin, somebody that we've talked about that Miami really, really likes him. Committed to Michigan, but Miami likes him quite a bit. Kenton Dobson, corner from Norland, who is a 2027 commit. Amir Sears from West Broward, who I believe is 2028. but he's going to be like the next superstar kind of guy down here based on everything I've heard from people down here. I've seen on film. So keep an eye on that name, Amir Sears, as a 2028. I wouldn't give you that 2028 unless it was like a real guy. Check him out if you haven't seen him yet. And then Bryce Fitzgerald from Columbus, really the only guy from that class that's not on campus already due to Columbus's graduation rules. So there's more visitors than that. Those are just kind of the ones I wanted to highlight here. Scott, Lauren Concepcion, always appreciates your contribution. She says, I'm sure Derek Cooper would like to see Jackson Cantwell commit to the U. Yeah, I think that's right. Derek Cooper is someone who's constantly mentioning the offensive line as part of his decision making.
850 Kane says, not trying to be an a-hole, but there's no need to waste any of our times on Tristan Keys.
Well, sure. By the way, 850. I know you got some super chats that you said we didn't get to. Let us know what the questions are. We'll get to those. I think, look, when you're talking about 2 unofficial visits from an out-of-stater, that's serious. Again, Miami has been in recruitments that on paper you say, why are we wasting time here? Cantwell, probably one more than anything.
We got a lot of those comments last year when he was visiting.
Yeah. So let's see how this develops. I think this is something you just got to get him on campus. When we talked to him off camera too, during that interview we did. He likes Miami. He liked LSU. In fact, we probably thought when we talked afterwards that LSU was the favorite.
I said right away, I was like, he really likes Miami, but I think LSU is going to be tough to beat. So it can still be that he has a legitimate interest in Miami, but he's committed to LSU. But I commend Miami for continuing to chip away. Shout
out to Mon Richards in the comments. I can't post what he said, but he, he knows more than all of us what it is to be a big time receiver in this process. So yeah, he's somebody like people have been complaining Miami's not getting elite receivers, right? So you have Jeremiah Smith, right? Ryan Williams, guys of that caliber, Decorian Moore this year going to Oregon. So, you want to get guys like that. You got to try to get guys like that. It sounds stupid, but like you can't get those big time guys if you don't recruit those guys. So I think we had very good receivers last year, NFL guys. We had the number 1 passing offense in the country, but people have made the criticism that, hey, we want guys like, like an Ahmad Richards, like an Andre Johnson, like a Santana Moss. You got to recruit guys like Tristan Keys, or else you're never going to have those guys. So you don't try it, you're not going to get them.
Yeah, and look, I know it's hard to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna believe you guys who talked to him, but like we're with him for like an hour overall. I've been around, I've been an agent, I've dealt with guys. I kind of have an idea when guys are BSing or not. You can kind of see through whether there's real interest or not in whatever you're trying to sell. And there was interest there. Whether or not Miami gets him or not, who knows? But it's worth staying on this one with everything we've talked about with LSU's situation, because something goes left there, you're sitting in position to land the guy.
Yeah, and when we talk 5-star players, you're talking about a lot of money, a lot of now we got a rev share cap most likely coming in on top of what everybody does with Canes Connection. So you want to make sure your money is being spent wisely. Not all 5 stars are created equal. And I'm not a psychologist. I can't say I have the best read on the player from only being around him for a day, but I was around him for a day. I was around him in practice, and then we did the interview and around his family, and everything that we saw, this is the kind of guy you want to invest in if you're going to invest that amount of money in a receiver. Jeremiah Smith was the same way. The person and the character and the drive to be great was here, and then the physical tools were here, and then you saw the results. So I think the player obviously is a 5-star for a reason, but there were no red flags being around him. In fact, it was probably the opposite. And he seemed young. I don't know how young he is, but he definitely wasn't like one of these guys that's like, he seems like he's still kind of developing physically, even though he's already pretty big. So that's the kind of guy. We talk about 5 stars that you pay for. I think that's one that's worth the effort.
Anyone on that list that we talked about that you think could be on like a commit watch this weekend?
So, I mean, Ollinger is a guy that we like. So he's someone to keep an eye on just because we like him. I've not gotten the full confirmation as far as like who's trending right now off this list, but I know Ollinger is someone that we like. It's not like someone we're keeping warm because we might lose someone else. It's not that kind of situation. We like him a lot. Just a great player. Really impressed us on his visit, the first visit of spring, because he was just so big and a good kid, on top of having really good film at multiple positions. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then Jennings from Mandarin, the brother of Bradley Jennings, former Kane. I know Miami really likes him and wants to flip him. I don't know if that's imminent, but I know they like him a lot, and he's here. So that's something to keep an eye on. Then a lot of these guys are obviously commits. Just looking at the list, Cannon Pickett, somebody Miami really wants. That's not like we got JJ Sparks. Someone asked, is that a Cannon Pickett replacement? No, not at all. Cannon Pickett, they're going to try to get no matter who they get. So
DZ Din asking who the alpha from this class that would recruit others to play with them. Like who's that guy in your opinion?
It's a great question. Are the guys committed right now? Darion Coleman, right? People know he's good. Tristan Keys, for example, I know I talked to him. He knows who Coleman is. He knows he can throw. He's seen him.
Especially since Coleman's making a lot of noise on the 7-on-7 circuit, which, look, these guys understand it's not the full game, but he's earning respect out there with some of the stuff he's doing.
Yeah. So that's one. And he has that personality. He's very much like Cam Ward when you just kind of are around him. He's got an edge. Sometimes people can't handle that edge. He's not one to sugarcoat, but the guy is, I like the way he carries himself. Again, I know him that well, but just being around him and seeing how he goes about his business. Look, if we're just talking about people that are likely to commit somewhere soon, Jackson Cantwell is going to pick somewhere. If he does pick Miami, he's the number one player in the country. So everybody knows what that means. So that could be something if that goes Miami's way. Derek Cooper is definitely someone they really want to bring in the fold. I don't know if that one's imminent in any direction. But I would say Coleman, and if you get Cantwell, he would be someone that just sends a message. You also, another thing to consider is the guys that are on campus now, I think have a lot to do with recruiting with the way the new schedule is. So for example, Malachi Toney, he's been on campus for now 3 months. And I think if you're trying to recruit a Calvin Russell, for example, who played with Malachi Toney at Raw Miami, Malachi Toney is the one telling him, hey, I'm playing, I'm getting first team reps, I'm balling, we need a guy like you out here. So even though it's a different class, he still can kind of help you in terms of putting this class together, certainly locally with guys he knows. So that's also a part of it when you look at that, at the who's going to recruit other players to the class.
So should we get into a few of the things we're looking to see tomorrow? We've done a bunch of stuff, guys. If you are just seeing us live now or watching the show, we've done a lot of spring game related stuff, spring practice kind of wrap up stuff. And we'll do more of this next week after the spring game tomorrow. But in terms of, things that I don't want to say things that we want to see, because we've had a chance to see a lot of stuff. But if you're a fan going there tomorrow, what should be something that they are looking for in particular?
I would say what I'm looking for, Luke Nickel, right? How does he perform with this kind of audience? He's so young. It's a lot to ask, but if he wants to play this year as being like a backup and really being a guy you count on, which who knows how this thing all plays out, but I want to see him kind of perform under the lights. He's had some really good practices the last week. I personally am a huge fan from what I've seen. I just like how he competes. I like how he challenges windows and has a short memory and just not afraid to throw. He'll throw a pick and then he'll come right back and make it even more difficult throw and hit it. So I just like that kind of attitude with him. And he has good talent, not like a physically overwhelming, not a DJ Lagway kind of guy, but somebody who I think is over the line of what you need in college. It's full contact. So you want to see who can kind of take blows. Let's see if the freshman receivers can catch the ball and hold on to it when they're getting hit, because it's one thing I've seen it a bunch. Lance Leggett, probably the best example when he was a freshman as when he first got here, was uncoverable. It took him a while to kind of adjust to the contact because he was, coming straight from high school. So there's a difference between being a freshman and making plays in practice and making plays people are trying to knock your head off. I know I couldn't do that. But so that's something to keep an eye on. Just the young receivers, they've been really good in practice. Will they be able to keep that up? And then running back wise, hopefully, I hope Mark Fletcher and Lyle have a pretty short appearance, but like a guy like Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, how's he going to absorb contact and deal with full contact tackling? Same with Gerard Pringle, because in the practices, they're not taking him down to the ground. There was one scrimmage where they took him down to the ground. Wheatley-Humphrey had a long touchdown, like a 30-something yard touchdown. Elijah Lofton as a running back also had a long touchdown that day. And those were real touchdowns. They were breaking tackles. There was a real running back simulation of what they're going to see in a game. But that only happens like once or twice during spring. So this is an opportunity for those guys. And the same thing for the other side. Our guys going to be able to tackle these guys to the ground. That's what I'm watching there. Also, a name that's been kind of climbing, two names really, the tight ends in general, Brock Schott and Luka Gilbert, both have, for different reasons, have made plays. Brock Schott much more of a downfield threat with his speed. And Luka Gilbert, man, Pete's always been high on him. He's 6'7", legit. He's probably 250 plus legit. He might be even bigger than that. He's got big legs and he's getting stronger up top. And the guy he's not just a blocking tight end. He has fluidity. He has hands. He can catch outside his frame. I'm excited to see how that looks on the big stage.
The funny thing with him, D, is that like most guys, when you watch their high school film, they're the star of the show on offense because they're the best player on their team, and they're going on to play at Miami or another big time program when you watch these tapes. But with him, the way they used him in the offense, he wasn't like a primary target downfield as a passer. But I think the way they use him as a blocker is going to end up helping him get on the field earlier at Miami because he's playing with that physical mentality. And it's one thing to play with the mentality, but he has the size to and the strength early on to deal with these guys who are maybe a little bit older than him or have been around for a couple of years. So pair that with the fact that even though we didn't see it necessarily a ton in his high school tape, he's not a big stiff. So excited about him.
850 saying that Amon Richards said that Tony laid someone flat on their butt blocking the other day. But he's in the chat. He can answer that. But yeah, Tony, he really has mentally what you want. I'm a big believer. Amon himself is a good example of this, and I'm sure he has thoughts on whether what I'm saying is true. But I think when it comes to playing early, the mental is 95% of it. The guys that are just locked in mentally are the ones that are going to play early for a million reasons. And I think when you look at this receiving group, all three of those guys, you feel good about what they have mentally. Tony is a football guy. All he wants to do is study football. He's pretty on point when it comes to just being in the playbook and doing all those kind of things. Then on the field, he's a competitor. He's super confident, and he will do things like block. And he's one that I'm not as worried about taking hits over the middle. And I think Josh Moore, much different body type. He's a monster, but he's not lazy with that body. He works hard and really cares about being good. Dalen Upshaw reminds me a little bit of Alan Hearns in terms of just how he's solid in every aspect of receiver. He's also a hard worker. So I think all those freshmen have mentally what you want to see at that age. So now it's a matter of just doing it when people are trying to hit you and dislodge you from the ball.
Yeah, no, and Amon basically confirmed that they're talking about Tony. And no, these guys they came, I think, Upshaw, not a South Florida guy, but the level of competition he was playing over there in Alabama and everything that his coaches said about him, Malachi Tony, him being a gamer, and Josh Moore obviously physically has it all, but they all competitively were ready to go. And yeah, not finished products in terms of the little things just yet, but a lot farther along than I think we've seen freshman receivers in years past at Miami.
Yeah, and the defensive side of the ball, I saw a comment on Lowe, another guy where mentally I think he's very far advanced. Physically, he's advanced body type wise, and he's one to watch as well. Him and Armando Blunt. I think they're pretty much the same age, even though Blunt's been here a year. So are those guys going to be able to make plays with everybody watching? They're still not going to be able to hit the quarterback, but they're going to be able to make the plays and make their presence known. Marquise Lightfoot, another guy, really, really good spring. Is he going to continue to go forward?
So we have almost we got over 900 in the show right now in the chat. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everyone who's been on with us here today. Get a few more questions in here. A18 Calicane says JoJo going to take a leap this year. Watch. So, yeah, I think we definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
He needed that year, I think, for the weight gain.
And look, you might not see him tomorrow. He's a little nicked up, but he's had an outstanding spring and nothing injury-wise that's, a concern for like him playing against Notre Dame or anything. So that's something to keep an eye on. Really Night Carr, I think, as far as a tomorrow standpoint, JoJo, I think, shown what he can do. Carr's been nicked a little bit, but when he's played, he's made plays. What day is it today? Today is Friday. Thursday, he had a nice catch downfield on a post. He has a little bit more of that deep
I think it's
speed.
his birthday today, Night Carr.
Happy birthday, Night Carr.
Scat Pack.
There you go. He's fast, and he's those posts, anything down the field. He has a kind of interesting running style. It doesn't look like he's flying, but then you see him, he's running by guys, and he's just very natural, tracking the ball and making plays there. So we'll see if he can make a downfield play here. I think that's something that this receiving core could probably use a little bit. I like all these receivers. I like the young receivers as well. But in terms of just like a pure run by you kind of guy, I think Carr might have more speed than most in the crew. So can he get that going with that part of the game? And then safety, Pete, I know you're a big Dylan Day fan. That's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, I just watching him last year on special teams, obviously, and then it seems like, because again, I get the media portion, which is like 25, 30 minutes of practice. And it seems like every single time that I see him, he's making an interception, making a play on the ball, pass breakup. In coverage, I think he's further along than I thought he would be. I don't know why I kind of penciled him in, just because I was watching him on special teams. It's like a downhill box safety, and I think he's got some range to cover. I think he's got some speed, and I think the football IQ is there as well. And he's not tentative in how he plays either.
Yeah, if someone's asking about Jaden Rashada, I guess he heard that Jaden Rashada is going to be the spring game. Jaden Rashada is friends with Carson Beck, going back to Georgia. So I don't know if that's where that's coming from, but Rashada, good relationships with everybody in Miami. It's all good there, but I think he's friends with Carson Beck. So if you see him out there, that would be the reason, is that Beck, he made.
I'm sure there won't be any speculation after that.
Right, which is why I want to make sure I'm in front of it here. I don't know if he's going to be there. If he is there, it'll be through Carson Beck, who he befriended as Beck's backup at Georgia. So don't that's not something to get too worked up about, but he's pretty hard to miss. He's got the big hair, right? So I'm sure it'll come up if people see him, but that's my understanding of why he would be there if he is there.
Feels like so long ago he was a commit.
That's right, man. A lot of comments about Chance Robinson. He's banged up, but I think he can play. I would love to see him out there. He's going to have a chance, but right now, just still kind of working through injuries, man. He's such a big, strong kid. It's a shame that he's had a battle through these injuries, but that's part of the game. Availability is ability. And we'll see when he does play, the team needs a big bodied guy like that every team does. So hoping he can get healthy pretty soon. You don't play Notre Dame next week, so he's got time to get right. And, a lot of people are very excited to see him perform.
That's 23 reasons asking about Calvin Russell right here.
Yep. So he's been playing basketball. Now his basketball season's done. I think the key with him is he really is tight with Malachi Toney. I mentioned that earlier. They played on the Raw Miami 7-on-7 team together. They're both the top guys down here, so they know each other well. The families know each other. So the fact that Malachi Toney's having success at Miami and is liking his experience, I think is only going to help with a Calvin Russell. That's the biggest thing, is that if you're Russell, it's not like he's got a ton of people up in Syracuse and LSU and all these other places he's looking at. So Miami, his close friend, is there and balling, right? And it's not like blocking him in any way. They're totally different types of players. So, that would be an opportunity to play with your friend. He's there in the slot. You're on the outside. He can tell you how it is. He's your age, but because he reclassified. He's a grade above and kind of has already seen how it is. So I think that's a major improvement. If you look at the recruitment of Calvin Russell, why that is trending better, I think is because of that relationship. Lauren Concepcion saying that Calvin Russell's visiting Syracuse today. That sounds right. Let's see the weather in Syracuse right now.
It's so funny. I was actually doing that on my.
All right, you let me know. Yeah, go let us know on that one. 8:50.
46 right now on April 11th.
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
It's not.
It'll be in the 30s tonight and rain. Oh my gosh, 85% chance of rain tonight.
Ooh, what a shame! What a shame the visit gets ruined. Peter, meanwhile, is in Lagos, just living his life. 8:50 saying how's security's patrolling the perimeter because Mike Norville might be out there with binoculars. I don't know what he's going to see. What's he going to see? A duo block and Mark Fletcher running right at the middle for 7 yards. I mean, they couldn't stop the running game last year. He should probably be out recruiting instead of hanging out with binoculars because that's really FSU's big problem. I'm told they're hiding the whole spring because they don't want reporters to see how bad they are. So, we'll see how that plays out. Evanston Alexis saying,
even though I don't know, it was weird because last year the fans were mad saying the reporters hyped them up too much. So,
yeah, what can you do? You can't win. Evanston Alexis is saying about Calvin Russell. He's cool with Jason Lopez. Miami would love to add Jason Lopez. My only concern with him is basketball, not Miami. But just like, I don't know if other schools are recruiting him harder in basketball. I mean, I think he could play for Miami in basketball, and I don't see I've not heard that we would not let him play. But, it's a two-part recruitment. So the football side I know more about. I know Miami is all in, pursuing him hard, thinks he's going to be a great player. So hopefully we land him. I think he's as good as any receiver down here. I'm a huge, huge fan. Ray's Kane says Norville will have binoculars in one hand and Kleenex on the other. That's pretty funny. 8:50 talk about Hellcat, which is Chris Wheatley Humphrey. He averaged 15 yards a carry in South Florida. I want to see him. I want to see him too with the full contact. I think Henry Parrish is the impression I'm getting from his running style now that he's put on the extra weight. I think that's really a fit. Maybe more speed than Henry Parrish, but just that kind of solid, slippery back who's going to just continue to run the ball and make things happen. P, anybody I'm missing? Who are you looking to watch here?
Judd Anderson. How about that? Because, I mean, we've talked about, I think Luke Nichols come on strong the last couple weeks here. But I think Judd Anderson, you could argue, maybe has been the best of the quarterbacks over the entirety of spring. But, I know that it hasn't been a very high bar. But, I would say him.
Big opportunity for Judd. He's made some great throws, he'd like to have back. But the flashes are so nice. You want to see him put it together in this kind of setting with the crowd, right? Last year, he didn't get that many opportunities. When he did come in, I think he threw a pick six, but he didn't play that much. We had a lot of quarterbacks at that time. I think
he didn't get any game opportunity last year. So these are valuable moments because this is the closest thing he's going to get to a game.
Yeah, last year we still had Poffenbarger. Cam Ward was playing. We still had Emery, or we have Emery. We already had Emery. We still had Jakari Brown. So he was like the fifth guy to play. And it just, you're not going to get too many reps when there's four guys ahead of you at the time. Evanston Alexis talking about the young edge rushers. Yeah, that'd be fun to watch. Marquise Lightfoot having a really, really good spring. Malik Bryant's doing some nice things. Pickett and Rudolph at flash. Some of those guys, the younger, the slimmer guys, the boundary corner, defensive ends. Herbert Scroggins. Excited to see what those guys can do. 305 Canes that's working to watch the game. Unfortunately, the only place to watch the game is on Cobb Field at the school. Which, by the way, if you are there and you are a Canes Connection member after the spring game, RSVP with Canes Connection, there will be an event. It's open to all Canes Connection members, all levels at Titanic. Roll to Titanic after the spring game. If you're not a member, go to Titanic and sign up right there. Great event. We're going to have Francis Malinoa there. Hayden Lowe, ton of players will be there. Popo, a lot of players will be there just kind of mingling. We'll be there hosting, MC, meet us, ask us questions in person, and get some free drink tickets. A lot of perks for Canes Connection members. So go to Titanic after the game, right across the street, literally walk right out the stadium. It's a 2-minute walk down the road, and you'll be right there at the Canes Connection event. So all Canes Connection members listen to this show. Make sure you head out to Titanic after the spring game.
All right, Canes fans, appreciate you joining us on a little bit of a later afternoon show today. Keep it locked on Canes Insight. Obviously, a lot of coverage of the game this weekend, and we'll have you guys covered with that, and then everything recruiting wise as well.
Yeah, let me give you one more here. We got. Let's see, what do we got here? We got a sale to talk about. Individual game tickets are now available for all 8 home games. That includes the matchups against Notre Dame and Florida. So lock in your seats today by visiting MiamiHurricanes.com/tickets. Once again, that's MiamiHurricanes.com/tickets. And we talked about it yesterday, that Miami Hurricane team store truck's going to be out there. You can take pictures inside the truck. It's old school. They got gear that hasn't been sold since the 90s. They're bringing it back for the Centennial. It's a Centennial-themed deal with the truck. So if you want to get merch, they got the 2001 throwbacks, Mitchell and Ness, Sean Taylor, Ed Reed. This is all at the Miami Hurricane team store truck. So if you see a big school bus kind of thing, pull up there. It's going to be right there at the spring game. Hard to miss, and get the latest in gear from the Miami Hurricane team store.
All right, Canes fans, appreciate you all for joining us today. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys tomorrow. Go Canes.
Go Canes.